If you had a cancer inside you, that cancer kills you slowly, and you want to do your best to take it out of there. Well, I'm going to tell you something that is more dangerous and severe than cancer. And I know that's a bold statement because I know a lot of people have loved ones who lost lives, with cancer, and I do as well. But I promise you that in the end, if someone tells me they live their life with cancer, I would rather hear that than hear that I'm living my life with unforgiveness and bitterness and grudges. Because see, the cancer will show up on a scan and you can take some kind of action, but the problem with the unforgiveness, it doesn't show up on a scan. There's no x-ray for it. It doesn't show up, but it's a silent killer. And it will kill you spiritually, it will kill you relationally, and it will do so in ways that you will never even be aware of. But everybody else around you will be aware. Unforgiveness is one of those things that when it's there, you don't see it. You don't know it because you can justify whatever. But the people around you, they're bearing the brunt of it. And all they know is, I don't know whatever happened to him when he was young. I know what happened to her in the beginning of her marriage. But I don't want to be around them. Because all they do is bring that stuff up. And they don't even realize they're bringing it up. But whatever happened to them that they can't let go of, that's affecting other relationships. So your kids are eating it. They're eating the meal prepared by your unforgiveness. Your friends around you, they keep their distance from you because of this. And until we learn to get rid of the unforgiveness and the grudges, it's going to continue to affect us. And we will be unaware that it's inside of us that's causing the problems. So let's talk about forgiveness. If you want to win at relationships, this is the number one most important criteria. People ask me that. What's the most important thing to be successful in relationships, in my marriage, whatever it is? Number one criteria is forgiveness. Learn to forgive. If you don't know how to forgive, you will not be successful in any relationship. Because the bottom line is people make mistakes. It's inevitable. Your kids will hurt your feelings. They will tell you, I don't love you, mom, or I don't love you, dad, or whatever it may be. Your parents will make mistakes, and they will have done things to you that you will later discover have impacts on you in different ways. Your friends won't always be there for you. Sometimes they'll be busy. Your roommates might forget your birthday. Your best friend may have chosen somebody else to be her maid of honor or his best man or something like that. Hurt is going to happen. You got two choices in life. Choice number one is never have any deep relationship with any person. That's choice number one. Never get close enough to any person to let them hurt you. If you choose that that's not the route you want to take, and you choose that you do want to have relationships with people, you have to learn how to forgive. And it's a non-negotiable. The problem for most of us, we were never taught how to forgive. We were taught cold shoulder. We were taught smile, but never reveal anything deep inside. We were taught arm's length. Maybe we were taught even worse. Maybe we were taught passive aggressive. Maybe we were taught aggressive. But I'm telling you, we got to learn how to forgive. And if we're parents, side note for parents, we need to teach our children how to forgive. And if we ourselves are modeling unforgiveness, we are doing a great disservice to you know who we're doing a disservice to? Ourselves. Because there's going to come a point in time, trust me, I'm a priest, I hear confessions. Your kids are going to come in confession and say, my mom or dad, they did this, they did that. That's what they're going to say. It's all of our greatest nightmare, but all of our kids do it. And you want your kids to know how to forgive. And if you are not giving them an example of how to forgive, if you don't forgive your mom, and you don't forgive your dad, you are doing yourself a great disservice. Or just be a perfect parent. There's your two options. Just be perfect. Don't make any mistakes. You're only hurting yourself when we don't forgive. Not forgiving someone in the hopes of that'll teach them. Not forgiving is the equivalent. Is my microphone? Check these. We gotta have one. One. There we go. That's actually the same one that I started with. So let's see how this goes. Every week we have to have a weekly microphone interruption. So not forgiving. Okay, in the hopes of, you know what, I'm not going to forgive them. I can't forgive them. I can't let them get away with. I want to, like this idea that we're going to show them by not forgiving. This is the equivalent of take a hammer, go to this person's house, take a hammer, hit myself in the head with it many times in their living room and get blood on their floor. That'll teach them the message. That'll teach them to mess with me. Look how I got their carpet dirty. That's what we do to ourselves. when we hold on to grudges. We destroy ourselves in the hopes that that'll make them feel bad. And I'm saying you're better than that. You're smarter than that. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 14 and 15 says, pursue peace with all people. Pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord. Looking carefully, lest anyone fall short of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this many become defiled. The key part there is looking carefully. That's what I want us to do. I want us to look carefully. And don't just run and say, I've forgiven, I'm fine. I want us to look carefully. Because if not, lest we're going to end up ourselves in a bad situation. We're the ones who are going to suffer. We're the ones who are going to pay the price. I don't know how many times I've said this sentence. I probably told you in confession if you ever come to me. Forgiveness is not for the sake of the other person. Forgiveness is for the sake of me and you. Forgiveness is not for the sake of the other person. We don't forgive because we feel bad for the offender. We forgive not because the offender deserves it. We forgive because we deserve it. Let me say it this way. Did you know that the quality and quantity of my relationships will depend on my ability to let go, move on, and forgive? If relationships are the most important thing, when all is said and done, the quality and quantity of your relationships will depend on your willingness to move on, let go, and forgive. Now, I can feel it's an emotionally charged topic. I can feel the tension in the room. So let's try to deflate the situation right now, okay? I realize I say forgive, and you take it, and I couldn't. I get it. I've heard the stories. I know they're horrible. I get it. It's impossible to forgive them. They're bad. But just humor me for a second. Let's go systematically, can take some of the pressure off, and let's define what do we mean by forgiveness. Because maybe I'm telling you forgive, you're saying I can't. Maybe you and I don't have the same terminology. Maybe your definition of forgive is something that I don't know how anyone could say that. So let's go with a definition. So first, what I want to tell you is what forgiveness is not. So we're going to go true and false right now. True and false, 4 things. You shout out the answer when I put this up on the screen. Number 1, true or false? A person should not be forgiven until he or she asks for it. True or false? False is the right answer because forgiveness is not conditional. Forgiveness, we say things like, that's not fair. I can't forgive them. They need to learn a lesson. Can't let them get away with. Okay, that's fantastic. But here, as I said a minute ago, my goal is not to hurt the other person. My goal is to help myself find healing. So if your goal is to hurt the other person, I agree. Forgiveness is not the way to go. But that's not my goal. If your goal is not to heal yourself, then yeah, you and I, we're talking about different topics. I'm not talking about them. I don't care about them. They hurt me. Why do I care about them? I care about myself. And forgiveness, follow me, don't misunderstand what I'm about to say, can be a very selfish thing. I'm not saying in a negative way. I'm saying in a positive way, like it's a for myself thing that I do, not for the sake of the other person. So don't ask yourself, do they deserve forgiveness? Ask yourself, do I deserve forgiveness? And I believe the answer is yes. True or false? Number 2, forgiving includes minimizing the offense and making excuses for the offender. True or false? False. Forgiveness has nothing to do with excusing. Like, the goal here isn't to say, so-and-so betrayed you, so-and-so abandoned you, so-and-so abused you. And I'm not trying to get you to say, that was no big deal. Yeah, I hardly even noticed it. Oh, was I abandoned? Oh, yeah, I was. I'm not, that's not what I'm saying. No one in their right mind would say that. Like, I can't go to someone who's been abused, someone who's been betrayed, someone who's been rejected. I can't say that. And you know the example? Did Jesus minimize offenses of others? Did Jesus say that sin, not that big a deal? It's not that big a deal. Is that what Jesus did? Jesus did the opposite. Jesus said, the big sins, the little sins, they're all big in my eyes. Forgiveness is less about the sin and more about the sinner. Jesus cared less about the offense and he cared more about the offender. So it's not minimizing the sin or excusing it by any means. True or false? Number 3, forgiveness includes restoring trust and reconciling the relationship. True or false? Forgiveness includes restoring trust and reconciling the relationship. I stumped you there for a second. False! Forgiveness is not the same as reconciling. And we talked about this the very first week. We talked about how we will always strive for reconciliation. That will always be the goal, but we can't accomplish that. That's why St. Paul said, if it is possible, as much as depends on you. Relationships, I'm at most 50% of the relationship. And if it's like 3 people involved, I'm only a third. So I can't control the parts. I'm not talking about putting together a Lego thing where I control all the pieces and just get it. I'm talking about relationships. So I can't control the other person, but I can control myself. So forgiveness has nothing to do with restoring the trust and reconciling the relationship. Let me say it another way. Forgiveness is in an instant. Reconciliation takes time. Forgiveness is my job. It's on me 100%. Has nothing to do with you. I can forgive without any input from you. But trust and reconciliation, that's your part. Or at least that's our part together. That's something that does take time. That's something that does require the other person to show potentially remorse, potentially. I'm not focused on that here for today. But forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing. One you can do today. And that's what I'm talking about. And then the last one, true or false, number 4. You haven't really forgiven until you've forgotten. True or false? False. That's good. I'm glad, because you may have heard me say this before. How many of us, show of hands, how many of us grew up in a home, or maybe still our home, and we got that picture of Jesus? You know the picture of Jesus with the nice face and the nice eyes, and it says at the bottom, in quotes, when I forgive, I forget. Who's seen this picture knows what I'm talking about. Very good. How many of you still have it in their house right now? Maybe anyone on their phone? Okay, put it down right now, okay? Take it down. You know why? It's quotes, but there's no reference. You know why? Because Jesus never said it. Jesus never said, when I forgive, I forget. And I'm telling you, that picture has messed up more people than anything else, because that picture sets us an impossible goal. I'll show you it's impossible. Everybody look at your shoes. Everyone look at your own shoes. Look at your shoes. Everyone see their shoes? Can anyone not see their shoes? Everyone can see their shoes. Okay, now look back at me. I want you now to forget the color of your shoes. Go ahead. I command you, forget. And I want you to pray really hard and believe and fast and read your Bible so that you can forget the color of your shoes. I can't command you to forget. And in fact, probably some of you didn't know what color your shoes were till a minute ago, till I told you to forget it. You can't command somebody to forget. Imagine going to somebody who was abused as a child, somebody who had a drunk driver take the life of their child and say, you have to forget that. What? I can't forget it. But you can't forgive it. Because forgiveness has nothing to do with forgetting. The more you try to forget, in fact, the more you end up remembering. So we're not going to talk about forgetting. And don't let anyone tell you need to forget. If you've been hurt, you've been hurt. Now, I think it'd be great if you could forget. I think that's a fantastic goal to strive for. But again, that's a process. But forgiveness? So what is forgiveness? If we had to come up with a definition of what forgiveness is, I'm going to say that forgiveness is canceling the debt.